Hello to all. Welcome to the Bajirao IAS Academy. Today is 27th October and we are going to discuss the daily Hindu newspaper analysis. But before starting our discussion, let us look which articles we have to discuss. So we have 4 articles in discussion and we will discuss it one by one. But before starting, I have a special request for you that please like, share and subscribe this channel to your friend circle so that your friend do also get benefited from these discussion. And as you all know, we try to provide these discussions in a greater depth along with the images, the maps and with the basic background and understanding. So definitely you are going to enjoy these lecture series. Okay, so let us start. And today we have to discuss 4 articles. So first article will be related to the 8 former Navy officers that got death penalty in Qatar. So basically, we will be looking here that why they got death penalty and the most important thing, like what the options India have to basically safeguard these officers. Okay, and this will also showcase India's ability that whether India's foreign policy in the West Asia is successful or not. Okay, and remember, this is very sad news for India because giving death penalty to our officers in different nation, it actually a questionable thing. Okay, so basically we will be looking in the depth of these issue, like why this happened, the chronology and the options India have. Okay, and what India can do on a legal basis. So basically we will be detailing into that. And the second article will be related to the Manipur violence which is still going on, and why despite we have 5 months left and this incident ultimately not ending. So we will be looking that why this is not ending and what we can provide for the solution here. Like this article talks about Sambad, the dialogue. Okay, so that the reality of the crisis should emerge out, and the community, whether it is Methi community or the Kuki community, they try to like balance their interest. Okay, so we will be discussing all these. And the third article will be related to why China Bhutan boundary talks is significant, and this is also very important for our GS paper 2. And remember that China is increasing its presence whether in our neighbors or whether in the different regions, whether it is West Asia or whether it is Africa. Okay, so we will be looking from these perspective that if the border issue that is going on between the China and Bhutan that are solved, then what stakes India do have here. Okay, and the next article will be related to the global turmoil clouds the economic outlook for India. Okay, and this is basically related to our economy section that will be covered under GS paper 3. So let us start our discussion, but before starting, we have a warm-up session, and this warm-up session includes solving the prelims question. And remember, the discussion should be participatory in nature. Try to comment your answer, okay, so that the peer groups and the member will also get benefited. And the question is basically from the geography section, and the question is which of the following pairs of island is separated from each other by the 10-degree channel. So this question was asked in 2014, and your option is Andaman and Nicobar Island, B. Nicobar and Sumatra. Sumatra is basically the island of Indonesia, and the C option Maldives and Lakshadweep, and the option D Sumatra and Java. And here I am asking you a basic question: what do you mean by islands? Okay, and another question, that what do you mean by channel? Okay, tell me. And if you are able to understand, then definitely you can solve this question. If you have a basic overall idea about the map, about the region of the Indian Ocean and the island nations there, then definitely you will be solving this. If you are not able to solve, then please don't worry. We are here to provide you the solution along with detailed discussion. But the discussion of this question will be at the end of our session. Okay, so please wait till end and let's start for the mains revision series. Okay, and in the mains you have to attempt the question, and this is the question. I think very very good questions from the polity section, and this is related to the dynamic nature of our constitution, why our constitution is a living document. Okay, and basically you have to give examples here as well to substantiate your point. So read slowly the question and try to answer. You can answer in pointers in the comment section. Okay, so the question is, the Constitution of India is a living document or living instrument with capabilities of enormous dynamism. Remember the keyword enormous dynamism. Okay, and it is a constitution made for a progressive society, illustrate with a special reference to the expanding horizons of the right to life and personal liberty. So you are seeing that from time to time we have made significant amendments to our constitution, and the amendments can be whether from the legislature, that is parliament, or from the judiciary, and how the judiciary expands the horizon of the constitution, it is actually by their judgment. Okay, you can recall here number of judgment. You can recall here like right to life with dignity. You can recall here like right to privacy. Okay, you can also recall here like a triple talaq which was banned. Okay, along with the recent women's reservation bill that granted a woman the reservation of seats in the parliament and the state legislature. So what all these signifies that from time to time there is a need of the society and their aspirations, and these aspirations should be adopted, and for the adoption there is a need to have a change in the constitution. And that's why our constitutional maker tried to balance the amendability provision in the constitution itself, so that it should neither be too rigid, it should neither be too flexible. And why this type? It is all because to incorporate the change, because remember a very important principle that only thing which is permanent is change. Okay, so as the aspirations of the society increase, there is a need for the change, and that's why the aspirations need to be adopted. And from various judgments we see various examples, okay, how they are being incorporated. And recent incident you can also quote here about the LGBT community or the transgender community. Okay, so these are the varied dimensions. You have to incorporate the dimensions and fit with the examples, then the answers richness will also be included, will also be helpful. Okay, so basically this is the discussion and you have to write the answer. Okay, and now we are coming to the editorial discussion. The first article is related to the 8 former Navy officers get death penalty in Qatar. So basically we will understand from the basic. First of all, let us understand about Qatar. So basically Qatar is a country in the West Asia. You are seeing the map of West Asia here. Okay, and here you can see that this is Saudi Arabia, this is Oman, this is Yemen, and this is a small territory that is Qatar. Okay, and the capital of Qatar, you have to tell me where is the capital of Qatar. Okay, so this is very sad news for India, because these type of incident definitely have a negative impact on the emotions of India, on the peoples of India. Okay, so first of all let us look on this controversy. What is the matter? How did it started? Okay, so basically on August 30, 2022, 8 former Indian Navy personnel arrested by Qatari authorities, and they were charged of espionage. Espionage means like jasusi, okay, in Hindi. And on March 2023, the trials begin in the case. Okay, and here on October 1, the Indian ambassador to Qatar, meets the 8 men in prison, and they ask about the information and various things so that they can safeguard these personnel. Okay, but on October 26, the Qatari court pronounces death sentence to all of them. So that means that despite we may have initiated the process, we may have initiated the consultations to safeguard them, but the authority of the Qatar didn't respond to our request actually. Okay, so basically after this judgment, what options do India have now? So there are series of options, and we will look in the coming times whether these options will be successful or not. And if these options become successful, if we are able to safeguard these persons, then definitely this will be a big achievement for our Indian diplomacy. Okay, for our diplomacy in the West Asia. That is very, very important point. So basically, what the options India do have, the first of all, pursuing the legal appeals in the case, India may appeal on a legal basis. Okay, and the second option, like they can resolve the case in a diplomatic way. Okay, like the diplomats will exchange in meetings, the officials will exchange in meetings, sharing of the informations. Okay, and ultimately finding the facts and the conclusion. That is the point of diplomacy. And then we can have political intervention, but at the level of prime minister. Okay, so that they can request the pardon, and this is also a one approach to be available. And if any of these approach fails, then we can have a last option, that we can build international campaign so that we can appeal for clemency means forgiveness. Okay, so these are the options India can try, but let us look that what is going to happen. But here we will be talking about the issue why this incident occurred. Basically, these Indian nationals were employed by Dahara Global Technology and Consultant Services in Doha. Okay, but they were allegedly accused of breaching the sensitive secrets in Qatar. So that's why they were grounded on these charge, and they were framed into the custody. Okay, and they were reportedly involved in training various security related service providers of the state of Qatar, that was like breaching the sensitive secrets. Okay, so here when we talk about the response of India, so India talked that we are deeply shocked by the verdict of the death penalty, and they are waiting for the detailed judgment, and then they will explore all the legal options available. And we have discussed about the legal options, and you can also tell me one answer, that whether this legal options, if get successful, what implications can have India. Okay, with respect to the foreign policy of India in the West Asia. So you can also decode these type of questions. This will help you to expand your thinking process. Okay, so that is the point. Hope you understood. Now we are shifting to the second question, second article. Okay, and there is one also question you can think about, like bordering countries of Saudi Arabia. Tell me in the comment box why I am asking you these type of questions, because UPSC tries to give map based questions. Okay, so remember in 2023 paper, it was actually 4 to 5 questions which was map based, and this is an easy to get marks question. Okay, so definitely if you have an idea over the map, then definitely you can get like 10 marks in an easy way. Okay, and remember the UPSC's papers uncertainty, so these are like you can easily get these marks. So that's why you should focus any locations which is very much reflecting in the news. You may be aware of these locations. That is very, very important point to understand. Okay, so now we are shifting to another article that is related to GS paper 3. Okay, and here we will be discussing about the Manipur issue. Remember that on May month, okay, this Manipur violence was created, And here you should understand the basic background that in Manipur there are two communities. One is your Methi community and the another is your Kuki community. Okay, so basically the ethnic violence was between these two communities, and the impact is that still we have the 5 months went, but the solution is not there. Okay, the violence is still there. So the actions by the authority are being taken, but still there is no ending of this violence. Okay, so here what we can do actually. So basically, the article suggests that there should be a platform that establishes a dialogue between these two communities so that the facts, okay, should be shared between them, and because of that the truth should come forward. Otherwise only committed truth are coming forward. And what do you mean by committed truth? So committed truth is like one sided truth, like the Methi communities, let's say, tells about the problems created by the cookies, okay, and they are like promoting violence and they are intruding our geographical space and all of that. And when we talk about cookies, then cookies are also blaming the Methi community, and they are basically have their points to substantiate, okay. So that is the point. That means committed truth, meaning one sided truth actually. But here we need the truth which is basically original in nature. Okay, truth is a reality and there should be a originality in that. And for that, you have a dialogue between these community and they can share their concerns. And from that, the issue of the starting up of the violence may come to the point, and that will also help to ease down the violence. So that is the basic context. Okay, so we have seen the Manipur crisis, and because of these crises and because of the committed truth, we are seeing that the fact finding committee or the organization or the editors who are visiting there, they are facing the blockade, okay, and they are not able to get the information about the cause of the violence. And there is an example here, like Editors Guild of India faced a stiff violence, not a stiff resistance from the Mathis. The allegation is that the guild has put out a biased report that favors the cookie. So these are like allegations that are going on, okay. So that means after that, all other fact finding committees seems to have slowed down, okay. And you can see the diagram here that Maithi community or the cookies community, they are propagating their narratives and demolishing the narratives of the opponent. So that is the basic issue that are highlighted here, okay. And when we talk about other issue, so basically here there is also the hardliners that are propagating their politics, and because of these hardliners, okay, the conflict are basically not ending, okay. Instead of ending, they are getting promulgated, okay. So that is the point. And what these hardliners do actually, they spread the narrative to showcase that their opposite camps as being the perpetrators, okay, the spreaders of violence actually. And this violent act promoted in the name of self-defense. So unfortunately, who gets punished? Actually, the humanity, the civilians, the common civilians, the people gets punished. Okay, and remember when we talk about this civilians, then in the current Israel-Gaza war scenario, who are getting punished? Actually, the civilians. So you can also link the context here. Okay, and along with that, the presence of armed militants here has inspired members of the affiliated community that they call themselves as the people and the other community as the enemy, okay. So what all these indicate, that these are promoting the violence within the community, okay. And if this continue, that means there will be not an end to this issue. And apart from this, there are various other narratives which are propagated by the community, either one or the other, okay, like like there is a narrative that Kuki want a separate nation or separate region, okay, and along with other narratives like they are spreading insurgency across the border, or they are putting illegal migrations, okay, and another narratives is like narco terrorism, okay. So that is the point. So there is a need to arrive at holistic truth. Holistic truth requires that the parties which are in conflict, they should sit, and there should be a dialogue between them, and any of the concerns that are like raised by these communities should be reflected in these sambad, okay, so that holistic truth should arrive. And also what will happen, that verification of the facts which was claimed in these narratives should also be done, okay. And sambad should include the presence of contending parties. Here the contending parties is who? The cookies and the message, okay. And when we talk about the actual reality of Manipur, so Manipur is a very good state, and I think it is a peaceful state, okay. But its long existing multicultural life is getting challenged, okay. And in the long existing multicultural life, there was the principle of coexistence, the matrimonial bonds, and a special sharing among the ethnic communities, okay. So these were the reality of the Manipur. But what we are seeing opposite of that, so that is a not good thing, okay. So in conclusion, India's intellectual tradition of Sambad is an invitation to openness with the truth. And if we are able to open the Sambad, the dialogue between these two communities, so the result can be peaceful and long lasting, because the concerns will be shared and will be eased down, okay, and along with the verification of the facts, okay. So actually it will lead to freeing oneself to a committed truth, and the peace may prevail. So what is the end of the message? Actually, that open samvad between these two communities, make these two communities sit together, share their concerns, and ultimately verify their concerns whether they are good or not. And ultimately this will ease down the burden of committed truth, and it will actually lead to the holistic truth. And if there is truth coming forward, that means we can address the concerns, and if concerns are addressed, that means the solutions can be finded out, the peace can be established. That is the point of this article. So after discussion of this article, now we are shifting to the next article. Next article is also very important, because it is related to the trio, that is India, China, Bhutan. And remember, China is increasing its presence and its assertiveness around India, around India's neighbors, and we are all seeing that, like the incident of Ladakh, okay, line of actual control, and also the Doklam conflict, which was in 2017. Okay, so here we will be looking from basics, like the talks between Bhutan and China, and how they started, what is three-step solution, and the concept three-step solution is also very important for the films. Okay, so we will be discussing in detail. So the syllabus will be related to GS paper 2. So basically, when we talk about Bhutan, you know that Bhutan is a very small but peaceful country in our neighbor, okay, and they are situated between the India and the China, okay. And here we will be discussing in detail, like you can see the map here. I have brought you an interesting map for you, and you can see the map. This is actually Bhutan, okay, and here this is the part of India, that is the part of West Bengal state, and here this is China from the north. So actually Bhutan is sandwiched between India and China, okay. And here remember that Bhutan does not share the border by Nepal, okay. And the Brahmaputra river basically lies east of the Bhutan. You should also remember, and they do not cross the Bhutan, okay. So that is the important point. And remember that Bhutan also does not share the border with Bangladesh. You may be confusing, but the confusion should be away with. So maybe you have understood about the basic maps of Bhutan. Okay. So now we are coming to the context. Actually, in recent time, we have seen that China and Bhutan are engaging to solve their border issues. Okay. And for that, recently, China and Bhutan held their 25th round of boundary talks in Beijing. And that means that before that, 24th round of talks were already happened. But this 24th round of talks was in 2016. But from that, the talks was suspended. Okay, why suspended? Because of the Doklam conflict in 2017, because of the COVID-19 crisis, okay, because of the increasing assertiveness of the China, okay. But slowly between these period, that is 2016 to 2023, series of talks was happening, okay, behind the wall. So actually, the recent 25th round of talk was concluded, and both the nations said that they are progressing to demarcate their border. Okay, actually, there is a very important point to understand that when we talk about the border demarcation between the South Asia countries, so there are very ifs and buts. Okay, and because of that, we are seeing the crisis in the context of the conflicts, okay, border conflicts or the security concerns, all of these. Okay, so basically both signed a cooperation agreement on the responsibilities and functions of the joint technical team on the delimitation and demarcations of Bhutan China boundary. And also this will advance their three-step roadmap which was initiated in 2021, and that was aimed for border resolution. Here for the prelims we will be discussing the concept of three-step map, because UPSC can ask you recently that a three-step roadmap was in news is in the context of what? It is in the context of solving the border demarcations between China and the Bhutan. Okay, so first of all we have discussed the context, and now you should look the map of Bhutan, and actually the important thing, that is the Doklam. Okay, because here you should understand, and I am providing you the context of Doklam. Basically in 2017, Chinese army, okay, they tried to enter the Doklam here. Okay, Doklam is basically the territory of Bhutan, and the Chinese armies, they tried to enter this region and tried to take control over it. But with the help of India, Bhutan basically repelled these Chinese, okay, and ultimately gained the control. Okay, that is the point. And because of that, India was also in the concern that this is very important region for India, actually, because if Chinese presence comes up to here, you may observe that this will affect our Siliguri corridor, okay, or we can call it the chicken neck corridor. Okay, so that is a very important corridor of Indian territory that connects the Indian mainland with the northeast. Okay, and this is very important. This is very thick, like this is very short, wide pathway. Okay, so that is the point. And when we talk about like the past talk was in 2016, and up to 2016, 24 round of talks was occurred between Bhutan and China since 1984 to resolve the dispute until 2016. Okay, and then the expert group of diplomats on both sides met in 2021 to agree on three-step roadmap. Okay, and in the three-step roadmap, it is actually like first sit on the table and demarcate the boundary, and then visiting the location, and then finalizing the border demarcation. So that is the three-step roadmap. Okay, and for initiation of the three-step roadmap, the first boundary delimitation technical talks were held in 2023. Okay, And here we have provided you the concept of 3-step roadmap. Okay, and this is basically the agreement signed by the Bhutanese foreign minister and Chinese assistant foreign minister in 2021. Okay, and for that, joint technical team was established to implement this roadmap. Okay, in 2023 we have this concept and hope you understood. But here you have to understand with respect to the India's perspective. Remember that India's border security is at most important, and there is rising threat from China, and we are seeing all of that, and we are also seeing the rising assertiveness of Chinese authority. Okay, whether they are building the border infrastructure in our like like nearer border areas. Okay, and also we are seeing that the Ladakh conflict, all of that. Okay, so basically, if the border resolution occurs in a good way, that will also benefit India. But if certain issues remains, that means it can affect India. Like there is a proposal from China that due to the Doklam conflict, they will ease the claim of Doklam region, and they will make the Doklam under Bhutanese control. But the Bhutan has to exchange with the areas of Jakarlung and Pashamlung which China claims. So that is the swap agreement that China is wanting. Okay. So indirectly, this will increase Chinese presence here. That is an important point, and that can hamper India's security. Okay. And also, a recent Pentagon report has continued to build underground storage facility like the roads along with new villages, and they are actually erasing the strategic gains that New Delhi has hoped for, because after the Doklam conflict in 2017, there was an agreement that they will not build these infrastructure here, but they are building. So that means that they are not adopting our talks which was like proposed. Okay, so in conclusion, China's demand for full diplomatic relation with Bhutan and opening an embassy in Thimphu. Thimphu is basically the capital of Bhutan, which also can be a concern for India. Why? Because Bhutan does not make any diplomatic relation with respect to the permanent members of the United Nations Security Council. But if Bhutan readies to accept it, that means another country, another neighbors will be under the influence of China. Okay, and that means it can be a threat for India's security as well. Okay, because then China will try to build up infrastructure and various things. Okay, but here the Bhutan also confirmed that any decision that concerns the India's interest will be done by engaging with India. So that is a plus point from the Bhutan side. So that is the end of the article. Hope you understood. And now we are shifting to the next article that will be covered under GS paper 3. Okay, and that will be related to the economy section. So actually, on October 6, RBI had predicted that the India's GDP growth this year will be 6.5%. Okay, but apart from this prediction, they also said that the growth of 6.5% will be available despite we have the uncertainty like the geopolitical tension, economic fragmentation, volatile financial markets, and uneven monsoon. And remember that the monsoon plays a very important role for India's economy, for India's growth in agriculture sector, and many more things. Okay, so despite all of these uncertainty, the RBI said that we can maintain the 6.5% of GDP growth because we have the strengthening domestic demand. Okay, but that was said on October 6th. But now we are seeing that new uncertainties are rising. And what are these uncertainty? First of all, the Israel-Hamas conflict. And remember, this conflict is in the West Asia, okay? And any disturbance in the West Asia directly affects the prices of the fertilizer, the fuel. Okay, because we import very much fuel from these region. Okay, and if there is a conflict, that means price fluctuations may increase, and that will ultimately lead to a rise in the prices of these items into India. That is the important point. Okay, and also there can be a global implications on the food, fuel, and fertilizer. Remember, here I am trying to tell you the concept, like when you import crude oil, okay, and the byproduct of crude oil are used for making the fertilizers. Okay, so if crude oil is coming costly, that means the cost of fertilizer may increase. Okay, and if the cost of fertilizer may increase, that means cost the input cost in producing food may also get increased. Okay, so that means this uncertainty can have implications on the food, the fuel, and the fertilizer supply. Okay, and we are very much dependent on fuel and fertilizer imports. Majority of our fertilizers, okay, we import which fertilizers in majority terms? Try to tell me in the comment box. Okay, and also disruptions on the price spikes could hurt India's macroeconomic framework. Okay, and on the another side, there is also a concern that in the US the bond yield is also rising. So actually, what is bond yield? You try to answer it. Otherwise, I will provide you the answer. First of all, you try to answer. Okay, why I am asking you these questions? Because you can think in a greater depth. And if bond yield rise, then what will be its implication on India? Try to think in that way. This will be a very good approach to solve the economic question as well. Because in economy, specifically prelims, the concept based question on bond yield, okay, inflation, the money supply do comes. Okay, so whether RBI will be able to uphold its statement that is evenly balanced outlook toward the risks of growth, only the coming time will tell. But here you should understand that there is a impact of globalization on the food security as well. We are seeing like the Israel Hamas conflict or the Russia Ukraine war. Okay, so basically we are in an interconnected world. So in globalization, anything which is happening in any country will have impact on another nation. So we are seeing in India as well, we are seeing in other nations as well. So in India we are seeing the rising crude price. Okay, these all are the impact of globalization. And here, this doesn't mean that globalization has only negative impact. They are basically channelized by both positive and negative. When we talk you the example in positive sense, that means let's say that India faces food crisis because of the monsoon failure. So we can be dependent on other nations. We can import foods, okay, for our needs from different countries. So that is the positive side of the globalization. Okay, but on the other hand, there can be also negative side, like when there is a global uncertainty. Let's say there is a declaration of war. Okay, so we are dependent on fertilizers. Okay, so that means the fertilizer price may rise. Okay, so that means what? Like this can challenge our food security because our farmers use the fertilizers, and if the fertilizer cost increase, that means farmers may face the crisis. Farmer may face the rise in input cost. So that will also affect the food security. So indirectly, there is the impact of globalization from the positive side as well and from the negative side as well. So try to balance that. Okay. So that is the end of the article. Hope you understood. And now let's move to the questions of the prelims. And the answer is Andaman and Nicobar. Basically, 10-degree channel. Channel is basically the narrow water that connects basically two location. In simple terms, basically they are latitude actually. Okay, 9 degree, 10 degree, 11 degree. These all are latitude. Okay, so basically when we talk about 10-degree channel, so actually they connects Andaman and Nicobar Island. You can see from the map here. This is 10-degree channel, and here this is like Andaman Island, and this is Nicobar Island, and between this we have the 10-degree channel. Similarly, you can comment me about 8-degree channel, the 9-degree channel. Okay, and also one question more please, and you have to answer, like which is the only active volcano in India, and tell me the location. Okay, and what is the capital of Andaman and Nicobar? So these are the general questions, but this will help you to retain the facts, because sometimes UPSC to ask the fact. Don't be in confusion that UPSC didn't ask the facts. Okay, so that is the end of the article. Hope you understood, friends. Thank you very much. We will meet again in the next lecture series. Thank you.